What's up everybody, Brian here in the Gecko Lab. Thank you for joining me today. I am gonna tell you guys all about the first ever altitude exotics rainforest adventure retreat. I got back a couple weeks ago from our trip to Belize. I had some amazing people come with me and it was honestly such an incredible experience. I could not be happier with how it went. So today I'm going to tell you all about it and show you everything we did. So first and foremost, I have to throw a huge thank you out to all the travelers who came to Belize with me. You guys really made this the experience of a lifetime. I was a little nervous going into it that what if like, oh, there's people that don't get along, or it's just like an awkward situation, or like, I don't know, I'm an introvert and I don't really have any friends, and contrary to how it might seem in my YouTube videos where I'm like, what's up everybody? I'm really not like that in real life. I'm fairly reserved and don't talk much, to be honest, if you guys can believe that. But you guys that came with me on the trip absolutely made it the best trip I could have imagined. It went so much better than I thought, and I have you guys to thank for it. So thank you guys very much. Now that I've got that out of the way, I'm going to tell the rest of you everything we did while we were there. So, as many of you know, about a year ago, I came up with this idea to start running adventure retreats in Belize, bringing people there, taking them on hikes through the rainforest to experience some of my favorite places in the world, and that's exactly what we did. It was incredible. I'm gonna go through it and show you guys everything we did. So the first day, everybody flew into Belize City. I picked everybody up in the travel van that I had rented, and I drove us all down to the Bocawina Rainforest Resort. This resort is in the middle of Bocawina National Park, so just getting there is an adventure. It's a 3-hour drive down the Hummingbird Highway, which is one of the most beautiful drives you'll ever take. And then once we got there, it's, you know, miles back into the jungle. Like you literally drive for half an hour straight into the jungle down a dirt road just to get to the resort. It's secluded in the middle of a national park that's untouched, unmolested, beautiful, preserved rainforest all the way around. The resort is completely eco-friendly, self-sustaining, green energy, solar panels. They grow a lot of the food themselves that they serve in the restaurant. It is truly, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful thing to experience, and they are doing it the right way to preserve the rainforest around them. I can't say enough good things about it. I absolutely love it. So we got there just before sundown, so it was already starting to get dark. We had enough time to check in, get to our rooms, have dinner, and then we went out for a quick night walk, just kind of as like an introductory, we're here, let's go do something fun to feel the forest for a little bit before we head to bed on our first night. So we went out for a night walk. Before we got out on the night walk, I did see a fer-de-lance snake, a very young one, probably about 18 inches, 16, 18 inches, little guy. He was sitting right on the edge of a path waiting to ambush something. Unfortunately, the rest of the guys didn't get to see it. I saw it when I was moving the van back to the parking spot. He was actually on the side of the only road that goes into the resort. It was like, you know, the road comes in, and he was sitting right there. So I was a little sad that I didn't get to show him to everybody else, because by the time we got back down there, he was gone. But it was really cool to see that. I always love seeing them, as scary as they are. It's fascinating to see them. And then we went on our night walk and we saw some cool stuff. We saw a whole bunch of tree frogs. It was the wet season, so there were a lot of tree frogs out. We got some really good pictures of some tree frogs. We saw a giant cane toad, like a huge friggin' guy. They got these big cane toads there. We caught one of those guys. And then the most exciting thing for me was the crocodile. So there's a river that runs through the middle of the national park, several rivers, but one that goes right by the resort. And about a half-hour walk up from the resort, if you walk the path up the river, there's several slow spots where the river gets wider and there's almost like a big lagoon. Well, about a half-hour up, there's a lagoon that there's been a crocodile living in for years. That's Mama. She's been there forever. I've seen her a couple times. Well, she had babies this spring, apparently, because there was a couple of them hanging around. when we went down by the river, there's a bridge that goes over the river that has a path that goes to some other waterfalls. We just kind of went down to that bridge and poked around. We caught this big cane toad, and then we saw under the bridge there was a crocodile, a juvenile about this big, hanging out under the bridge. So that was really cool. I was super excited to see that, because that's one of the most fascinating things to me, is to see the crocodiles in Belize, but it's really, really hard, especially in this part of the jungle, to see the crocodile. So I was super excited that we got to see one. You guys know that I took my socks and shoes off, jumped in the river and tried to catch him. Wasn't happening this time. See, there was no way I was getting to him, but I had to try, because that's one of my all-time bucket list goals, is to bare hand wrangle a wild crocodile in the middle of the rainforest, and I wasn't passing that opportunity up. Didn't work out though, but it was still a really good night hike. We had a good time. Then we headed back to our rooms to get some rest, because the very next morning we were going on our first big hike. Now I gotta explain to you guys, hiking in Belize, not like hiking in the US, not like hiking like we know it, where you're on a nice wide groomed trail and there's easy switchbacks to get up the mountain. Not in Belize. Sometimes there's a nice trail, sometimes there's a track, sometimes you're just following ribbons tied to the trees. And when you need to go up the mountain in Belize, you go straight up the mountain. They don't do switchbacks. If you're lucky, they'll tie ropes to the trees so you can haul yourself up, or sometimes you're just scrambling up steps or literally using tree roots as a ladder. It's fantastic. It is one of my favorite things about it, is the experience is as good as the destination. So we hiked Antelope Falls the first morning, got up early, got on the trail before it got too hot, and it is about a 3-hour hike round trip. So the first 45 minutes or so, it's a fairly wide, easy trail. It gets a little steep at times, but not too hard, and you get up to the bottom of Antelope Falls. Well, at the bottom of the falls, it's a nice kind of relaxing place to hang out, catch your breath, and then you can walk out onto the rocks and see up the falls. Well, Antelope Falls, if you guys remember from my commercial I made for the adventure retreat, it is 1,000 feet tall, quite literally. You can see it here. This is me sitting on top of the falls, and then I fly the drone out. It is 1,000 feet tall. It's a huge waterfall. It's not a free fall waterfall. It kind of cascades down the cliff, but still it's 1,000 feet tall. So from the bottom, you can't even see all the way to the top, but it's still a really cool viewpoint to hang out at the bottom. But then you hike to the top, and at this point, it's straight up the side of the mountain. It's literally like there's steps in the side of the mountain. At times there's ropes because you have to pull yourself up. At times there's like a cliff and a little cut in the cliff like this, and you're walking along with a rope here, just trying not to fall off and tumble into the rainforest, never to be seen again. And there's times when there's these huge fig trees, like humongous fig trees with these big buttress roots, and the buttress root systems are 30 feet tall because it's on the side of a cliff and the roots are just growing. And there's points where you're literally using the buttress roots as like a ladder to climb up. It is such a great, just the hike itself is such a cool experience. But then you get to the top and you can get like literally stand on top of the waterfall like you guys could see in the video, and you could see all the way out. It's just jungle in front of you. You can see all the way out to some of the coastal towns. The ocean is 20 plus miles from here, and you can see all the way to the ocean. It's a fantastic view. It really makes your hike, puts your hike into perspective, because you can see the resort way down below where you started. It really shows you how far you went, how high you climbed. It makes it just feel so accomplishing and good and satisfying to see that you got up there. But it gets even better than that, because you walk down the path another 5 minutes or so, and there's a second waterfall, a much smaller one, about 15 feet, but it's got the most beautiful jungle oasis pool at the bottom of the falls. There's a rope so you can climb up on top and jump off the waterfalls into the pool. It is such a great experience to just be floating in this water. It's cool, it's relaxing after your hike. It is just like your own little jungle oasis to hang out there. I absolutely love it. So we went and did that, hung out in the water, dove in, played in the water for a while. It was beautiful. We had a great time. Like, that's the first day there. We've already seen crocodiles. We've hiked all these crazy waterfalls, scaled cliffs, swum in a jungle pool. That's day one, guys. Well, day one and day two. Day three comes, and day three, in the morning, we hiked to Bocawina Falls. So there's an upper and lower Bocawina Falls. Lower Bocawina Falls is okay. It's pretty, it's nice. But upper Bocawina Falls, that's the one to hit. It is the most beautiful waterfall I've ever seen in Belize. Just picturesque. It's a postcard. It is stunningly gorgeous. The hike there is fairly difficult still, but not quite as long. It's about 40 minutes, to get there. A lot of the hike is on a pretty well-defined, not cleared trail. You're still hiking through the jungle, climbing over rocks and stuff, but it's an easy trail until the very end. And at the very end, you've actually got to go like into the canyon and over a river, over a canyon. It's a pretty substantial hike to get into where the waterfall is, but man, the payoff is huge once you get there. It is an amazingly beautiful waterfall. There's a spot where you can actually lean back on the rocks and the water comes down. It's like getting a massage on your back because the water's coming down and hitting your shoulders, and you can just sit there in the waterfall and relax. There's a little pool to sit in. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. Just another jungle oasis. That's an incredible thing to experience. So that was our morning on day 3. It was Bocawina Falls. Then the afternoon, we got to go ziplining. Bocawina Resort has their own zipline course. It goes throughout the national park. It is the longest and fastest zipline course in all of Belize, and it's incredible. We had to go as a whole group. It was just our group going. By this point, we were the only group at the hotel. It's not that big of a hotel. I think they can only house 15 to 20 guests. And we were the only ones there at the time, so it was just us. We had the run of the place. We got to do the whole zipline course by ourselves. It was just so cool to be flying through the canopy like a bird, seeing the rainforest from a whole different perspective. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time doing that. So that was another incredible day that we spent in Belize. So much fun. And then we got up on day 4. So day 4, a group of us decided we wanted to hike back to the top of Antelope Falls, the giant 1,000-foot one where you can stand at the top and look over the ocean. Well, we wanted to go up there and watch the sunrise. So a group of us did. We got up, we had to get up at 3 in the morning, be on the trail by 3:30, and hike to the top of Antelope Falls to be there for sunrise just after 5. We made it, we beat the sun there, we got up to the top, and it was incredible. You guys, there was a couple different bucket list moments, 3 of them really, that I had during this trip. Just this trip, I hit some bucket list moments. One was watching the sunrise over Antelope Falls. I tried to do this a couple years ago, but I didn't make it there in time. So this was a really bucket list moment for me to be able to get up there and watch the sunrise from the top of this waterfall. It was fantastic. That was our morning. We went back and had breakfast, and then the rest of the day was a pretty relaxing day for us. We went into a little town called Placencia. Placencia is my favorite vacation spot in the world. It is a beautiful little beach town on this gorgeous peninsula in southern Belize. It's a great spot for tourists, but it's not touristy. You feel very connected with the locals. They have amazing food in Placencia. They've got great local artists, just crazy good wood carvings. There's an art gallery that has the best painters from all over Belize send their work to this art gallery. There's a beautiful public beach in this cove where all of the waves and the seaweed and everything gets blocked out, so it is always just this perfect sandy beach to go swim on. It was incredible. It really was. We had a great day, and this was a great day for the group because, like I said, we had such a good group of people, and this is the day where we all just hung out. We all hung out on the beach and swam together. We all had lunch together. We all went and had dinner together later, and it was really nice to spend some time and really get to know these people. I have to tell you guys, I got so lucky with the group of people that came on this tour. I truly and honestly like every single person that came. Like, I consider everyone that came on this tour a friend. We all got along so well. Every single one of them was an honest, good-hearted human being. I enjoyed every one of their company. I enjoyed talking to every single one of them. We had such a good group of people. It just made it a fantastic trip. So spending the day in Placencia together was just an amazing way to spend a relaxing day. And then day 5, we came to our last full day in Belize. So this day, it was a running joke throughout the day that we kept saying, oh, this is the best way to end this trip. It's been such an amazing trip, and this was the best way to end it. So we drove down into the Coxcomb Jaguar Preserve. Now, this is the only Jaguar-specific wildlife preserve in the world, and this preserve has the densest population of jaguars on planet Earth. True story, I ran into a jaguar there face to face, like literally 30 feet in the middle of the night while I was camping alone by myself in this preserve last January. I talked about that in another video. I'll link it below so I don't waste too much time here. Great experience though, it was awesome. So we went to this preserve, and first in the morning we hiked the Tiger Fern Double Waterfall. It's this beautiful trail that goes all the way up to the top of this mountain, and then there's a clearing at the top of the mountain, and you can see for miles. And the Jaguar Preserve is huge. You literally can't see the boundaries from the top of the mountain, and you can see for miles and miles and miles in every direction. It is a humbling experience to be on the top of this mountain, and in every direction around you is untouched, pristine rainforest. There are no roads, there are no power lines, there are no houses, there are no farms, there are no clearings for crops or cattle grazing. It is literal, untouched, unmolested, pristine rainforest as far as you can see. That is not something that most people will ever experience in their lives, and it is breathtaking. And then you get to the good part. You hike back down into this canyon, and when you get to the bottom are the tiger fern double waterfalls. It's an absolutely gorgeous double waterfall, one right on top of the other. There's a swimming pool at the bottom, and then you hike up to the top of that fall. There's another swimming pool with a huge waterfall that comes in. It is just such a beautiful, peaceful, isolated place to spend time. Well, then we hiked back to the visitor center, and that afternoon we rented some tubes. They do river tubing there. So again, that's a little different than the river tubing you've probably done. You get a tube and they give you a life vest, and then you strip down to your bathing suit and you hike barefoot through the jungle for about 1.5 miles up to the inlet on the river, put your tube in, and you float for 1.5 hours down a river in the middle of the jungle. And again, this is the Jaguar Preserve. There are no roads, there are no power lines, there are no, like when I did river tubing in Costa Rica, it was a lot of fun, but it was on the resort property. So you're floating down this jungle river, and it is a river in the jungle, but over here you've got the horseback riding station, and over here's the mini golf, and over here, it's like, no, there's nothing around, there's nobody around, there's no other humans for miles in any direction. It's incredible. We had so much fun floating down the river, splashing, talking, playing. At one point we stopped and jumped off this giant rock into our tubes. It was just such a good time, and we had such a good group of people. We had so much fun doing it. It was incredible. And then it was, oh, this is the best way to end this tour, because we really thought that was it. That's all I had planned. We're going to drive back and have dinner, and the next day everybody flies home, and that was supposed to be the end of the tour. Well, then we get to dinner, and this is where, like I said, there were some bucket list moments, like not just for this tour, for my life, bucket list moments. And we get back to have our last dinner in Belize. Everybody's flying home. We're leaving early the next morning. And the week that we were there in early August, it was the peak of the meteor shower. You guys know that was at the Perseid, that might be the wrong name, I don't remember off the top of my head, the meteor shower that we see every year in early August. Well, that night was literally peak day for the meteor shower. Well, we kind of decided as a group, wouldn't it be fun if we hiked up to the top of Antelope Falls, that 1,000-foot waterfall, and watched the meteors from up there? Well, of course, once the idea was out there, we had to do it. So we did. A group of us left at 10:30 that night. We had dinner, went back and rested for a bit, and then at 10:30, we took off hiking to climb up in the dark, middle of the night, up to the top of Antelope Falls. And this was truly an experience I will never forget for as long as I live. To be at 12 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning, laying on these rocks at the edge of a 1,000-foot cliff with a clearing above us, hanging out with these people that I now consider good friends, just people that I truly enjoy, I've grown close to over the last week, and we're laying there on the rocks with all of our lights out. It's pitch black, and the Milky Way is directly above us, and there's meteors flying around. I mean, you can't write this stuff into a movie, guys. It was one of the best experiences, one of the most spiritually meaningful experiences I've ever had in my life. It was incredible. It was incredible. I can't even explain it to you. It was so fantastic. I can't believe we got to experience that. It was breathtaking. It really was. So we hung out there. We were up there for like 3.5 hours, just laying there, enjoying life, watching the meteors go by. It was beautiful. Eventually we decided to hike back down. And then of course we were saying again, wow, that was the best possible way to end this trip. Hands down, no doubts about it. We can't top it, right? We can't top it. Well, then we get back down to the bridge. Now, we talked about this bridge earlier that goes over the water, and I said that's where the waterfalls are, and we saw Crocodile there. That's the bridge. Well, we're coming back across the bridge, and guess what? The crocodile's back in the water, and he's hanging out in the little lagoon, and when he sees us, he kind of starts swimming off real slow over toward a reed bed. I told you guys, one of my absolute bucket list experiences I've always wanted is to be in a jungle river in the rainforest and bare hand catch a wild crocodile. So I was not passing this up. Before, like, the rest of the group was like, oh, look at the crocodile. And I'm over here at the edge of the bridge, throwing my shoes off, ripping my socks off, jumping in the water. And I jumped in the river, followed this crocodile. He kind of went and buried himself in this little like reed bed of bushes, trying to get away and hide from us. And I got up there. Luckily, he wasn't a big one. I'm not trying to Steve Irwin, you know, manhandle grab some giant freaking croc. That's not what I'm all about. I definitely wanted something I could handle, and this guy was about this big, definitely something I could handle. Luckily, I was able to get close enough to him, and I grabbed him, and I caught myself a wild crocodile. I checked off one of my all-time bucket list endeavors to catch a wild crocodile barehanded in a river in the middle of a like pristine actual rainforest, not in some controlled scenario where you go to Florida and, oh, hold the crocodile. No. This was wild crocodile in the wild, caught him barehanded. It was so cool. So we didn't hold on to him for very long. I didn't want to stress him out. I definitely didn't want to hurt him. And I did not want to get mama over there mad and angry. Now these are more Let's crocodiles, so they're not the huge giant saltwater crocodiles you're thinking of. They're not very big, but still, even mom at 5 feet, 5-foot crocodile will take you down. So I was not trying to play with that. So we just held on to him for a couple minutes, got some pictures, and then let him go back into the river. It was like, again, we were just laughing at this point, going, well, we don't even want to say that this is the best way to end the trip, because then who knows what's going to happen on the walk back to the resort. But it truly was the best way to end the trip. It was a all-time great bucket list kind of incredible adventure, and I could not be more happy with how it turned out. Now, I hope if you're still with me and you cared enough to listen to this entire tale and you want to be a part of one of these adventures, you're in luck. I have another adventure retreat happening this coming February 1st through the 6th in Belize at the Bocawina Resort. I will take you to all of these places I just told you about and showed you. I will walk the pass with you. I will hike the waterfalls with you. I will jump off the cliffs into the jungle pools with you. We're doing it again this February from the 1st to the 6th. Mark your calendars if you want to come. Book your spot now. Go to the website, altitudeexotics.com. Click on the adventure tour tabs and slots are open. Space is very, very limited. I only have 4 open rooms this time. So they're double rooms. So it's either a single traveler, or if you're a couple or 2 friends or something, you can come in pairs. The rooms have 2 full-size beds in them. So you can fit 2 people in one bed, 2 people in a bed. It's either 1 or 2 travelers. Check the website. If you're interested in coming, please do. I cannot wait to share this experience with more of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna stop blabbing now because I'm sure I've been talking forever. I am Brian, as always, with Altitude Exotics, altitudeexotics.com. Join me on one of my adventure retreats. It's gonna be a great time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you and everything you do for me. My life is amazing, and it's amazing because of all of you guys. Thank you. I really mean it. Thank you. Be safe, be kind to each other. I'll see you guys soon.